Good afternoon. Welcome to another segment of the Jermaine Brown Sports Talk Show. Today is Thursday, October 30th, 2014. I would like to talk about the state of the New York Jets for a minute. Particularly that press conference that John Idzik gave after that debacle on Sunday, where basically the Jets just got embarrassed by the Buffalo Bills, Kyle Orton and the Buffalo Bills. But I want to talk specifically really about the press conference on Monday. Now, how can I put this pretty simple? Pretty simple. The Jets fans should be both happy as well as concerned about that press conference on Monday. And I'm going to explain to you why. Happy in that if the owner knows what he is doing, if the owner really cares about the New York Jets and about winning, he will clean house at the end of this particular season. Because Idzik basically confirmed my worst fears, that he really don't know what he's doing. He really don't know what he's doing. But why I should also say that we should be concerned is because he really doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, that diatribe, that speech was so bad on Monday. I really don't know where to begin. I mean, it was like, first of all, here's proof that number one, he has no business being a GM picking personnel, and two, he proved on Monday that he was setting Rex up to fail. He even told you as much if you paid attention to what he said. Let me first start about picking personnel. When you hear a GM start off about how the owner is great, the president of the Jets is great, the business manager side of the Jets. Why is he talking about the financial side of the Jets first? The fans and the media doesn't care about the financial side of the Jets. The fans and the media cares about the operational side of the Jets. In other words, the players on the field, the product on the field. So when you hear a guy start off by talking about the financial part of it, that means he's still coming from a money standpoint. Okay? He's still coming from a money standpoint. He has no business picking personnel or picking players. He doesn't know what he's doing. All right? Nobody wants to hear how you met little Eric. Okay? The little baby Eric with a little Jet jersey or Grandma Susie. Who cares? We don't care that you're a lifelong Jet fan. First of all, I don't even know if that's true. But whether it's true or not is irrelevant. We're not looking, we don't care if you're a lifelong Jet fan or you just became a Jet fan. All we care about is that you're putting a good product on the field for us to watch. That we do care about. We don't care because you met little Eric, or Grandma Susie. Who cares about that? Oh, well, we own this and, we got to own this. Of course you owning this 1-7 record. But let me explain to you folks, this was exactly what John Idzik was hoping for. Believe it or not, he set this team up for this to happen. So inside, he was smiling. Oh, you can best believe it. Why do I say that? Listen to what he said in his press conference, folks, in his speech. And go back and you can read it, the transcripts of it, or you can go back and re-listen to it. Don't look at that money that we saved underneath the cap, that about 20 million, 21 million or so underneath the cap as saving money. Look at it as giving us flexibility to spend it in the future. Translation, folks. When I get the coach I want in here, I'll spend the money. That's what he told you. Okay? Just because he didn't come out and say it that way, doesn't mean that's not what he was saying. He was telling you. Because, now, why did I say that? Why would you go into this season knowing you needed major help at that cornerback position? Okay? Basically, rookies and second-year players who basically have no history of success. Why would you leave that secondary depleted? Why would you tell me your biggest free agent signing on the offense was Eric Decker when Emmanuel Sanders was begging to come to Florham Park and play with the Jets? He was begging to come here. Instead, you'd rather go down and scout Jay Samaro for Texas Tech. Would you tell me you would not even sign Emmanuel Sanders, who could have helped your offense, could have helped Geno Smith? I mean, come on, folks. He's telling you he didn't want to spend the money. He didn't want to help out Rex Ryan. And that's what this all comes back to. See, now the New York media is finally saying what I've been saying. I don't want to hear from the New York media because 90% of them is late to the ball game anyway. Okay? Only a select few people that I know mentioned that keeping Rex Ryan on board was a mistake. Okay? Everyone else, oh, Rex Ryan is a good head coach. But this is, first of all, no, he's not. But this is not about Rex Ryan. My discussion today is not about Rex Ryan. I've already waxed poetically about that, okay? Rex is a goner. Rex's goose is cooked, and even Rex knows it. There's no way you can justify bringing him back. But more importantly, there is no way, based off that press conference, you can justify bringing back John Idzik. But unfortunately, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, knowing Woody Johnson's history, John Idzik isn't going anywhere. Because he's got about, 2 to 3 more years on his deal after this season. He's got about 2 to 3 more years on his deal after this season. Because, see, you got to understand something, folks. When he was hired, he was basically promised, and no one basically denies it, he was promised that he only had to work with, or he was told that he only has to work with Rex for a year, and then after that, if it's no workout, hey, they can go in a different direction. But that's not what happened. But again, this is not about Rex. This is about Woody Johnson. Because when Woody Johnson stepped in and basically said Rex is going to return, he put the ball into motion for John Idzik to do what he did. So, because think about it. Put yourself in John Idzik's shoes, folks. When you got somebody there that you didn't want and you basically was lied to, what would you do? What would you do? I know what I would do. I would set the person up for failure. That's what I would do. So I know where John Idzik is coming from. But here's the problem. That only works if you have a proven track record. Then you can get away with setting somebody up for failure because you got a proven track record. Like if it was John Snyder who did it, okay? Bill Polian, Ron Wolf, Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick, let me see, who else? Scott Pioli. Okay? They could set somebody up for failure and get away with it. Because why? A proven track record. But when you don't have a proven track record and you set the guy up for failure, you look bad too because you haven't proven that you have the ability to put together a team. Which goes back to my issues with Woody Johnson. You hired a numbers cruncher. There is this movie by the name of Snake Eyes. And that movie, at first I didn't like the movie, but it kind of grew on me with Nicolas Cage. And he played a crooked cop in the movie, But in the movie, he was trying to help out a potential witness. And she was going to blow the lid on the government, this, that, and the other, about some government contract that was done, this, that, and that. She was going to blow the lid, and they were trying to kill her. And when he sat down with her, and she explained what it was that she was doing, he got very upset with her. He says, "You're a numbers cruncher. Just crunch the goddamn numbers. In other words, mind your business. You're in this mess because you didn't mind your business. You're a numbers cruncher, just crunch the goddamn numbers. Now, why is this important? Why is this relevant? John Idzik is a numbers cruncher, folks. You're asking a numbers cruncher to pick personnel. What is the problem with that? He has no history of doing such a thing. That was one of the reasons why Mike Tannenbaum got fired. So you put a man who is ill-prepared into a position of authority like that. That's the equivalent of taking a kid out of high school and putting him into a surgeon's room to perform surgery. He's not prepared. You're setting him up for failure. You set John Idzik up for failure, Woody Johnson, whether you realize it or not. And if John Idzik fails, what do you think is going to happen with the Jets? But now you would say, well, Jermaine, he tried to get a personnel man. Of course he did. But when you put, and everybody's now saying the same thing I said, okay? They just now come to the realization. But now everybody's jumping on that bandwagon. Well, if he had fired Rex Ryan when he got rid of Mike Tannenbaum, he would have been able to get a personnel man. Is that not what I said? Has that not been what I was saying? So here, if Woody Johnson cares about the Jets, here is what you do. Now, I'm not expecting you to fire John Idzik. John Idzik is very good at his job, crunching numbers. He's a numbers cruncher. He did a good job at that. He helped get the Jets underneath the payroll and got them, with a lot of cap space. So he's done his job. The problem is he just hasn't done a good job of picking players. So I'm going to take that portion of his responsibilities out of his hands. If he doesn't like it, well, he can go elsewhere. In other words, I'm going to reassign John Idzik. If I'm Woody Johnson, I'm reassigning John Idzik. You handle the business side. That's what you do. That's what you're good at. Just have him crunch the goddamn numbers. That's all. Don't ask him to do anything else. So I'm going to reassign you. Then I'm going to go back to a Mark Ross or one of the other highly touted executives or personnel people around the league. And you might be surprised about a different reaction you'll get this time once you clean house. Reassign, so what I would do is I would reassign John Idzik. I'm not going to give Idzik the pleasure of firing Rex. No, I'm not going to do that because it's not going to be pretty. But I will fire Rex if I'm Woody. So I would reassign John Idzik. I would fire Rex Ryan, and then I would when I go for my GM search, I'm letting him know he has full reign. The only thing he has to do is work with John Idzik as far as salary cap is concerned. Period. You might be surprised how much of a different reaction you'll get from those same people who turned you down 2 years ago. Now, all of a sudden, people might start saying, you know what? It's not the same old Jets. Okay, this man cares about winning because the perception around the league, the perception around the city, just plain over the perception, is that Woody Johnson, you don't care about winning. Fair or not, that's the perception. You don't care about winning. If you really want to get the Jets back to prominence or get them to prominence, you got to change that mindset. You got to change that opinion that people have about you. But then again, everybody got short memory. Remember, he kind of warned us a couple of years ago about this. When he told you that he cared more about Mitt Romney getting the White House than he did of his Jets winning. He told you that, folks. Everybody just keeps forgetting that he's told you that. So is anybody really surprised that the Jets is 1-7 at this point? About to become 1-8? Because I really don't see a scenario where they can win in Kansas City. Now, when I come back, I want to talk about something that an owner did in the NFL that I believe is disgraceful and despicable. And if the league had any guts, would come down hard on them. Okay. Welcome back to the Jermaine Brown Sports Talk Show. Today is Thursday, October 30th, 2014. Jerry Jones, and let me preface my statements by saying this. I'm going to add in this disclaimer. I like Jerry Jones. He's good for the game of football. He made the Cowboys interesting, relevant, however you want to call it. They're an interesting watch. But he did something that I felt was so out of bounds on Monday night. And the fact that, if an NBA owner had did this, and Major League Baseball owner had did this, they would have been wholly held to pay from the media. But because it was Jerry Jones, only certain people really talked about it. Now, I have no issue with Jerry Jones being on the sideline, because why? He owns the team. He has that right to be on the sideline. And we all know he's not only the owner, but he's the GM. So, it is what it is. But what I felt was despicable what he did was, okay, Tony Romo went down with a back injury late in the game. Okay? It was in the fourth quarter. He went down with a back injury. Okay, he was basically kneed in the back. They called it a back contusion. But anyway, keep in mind Romo came off 2 back surgeries. Recent back surgeries. Now we're talking about a quality of life issue. He had to be helped to the locker room. Jerry Jones was sitting up in his owner's box. So when Romo got injured and he went to the locker room, I totally understand Jerry coming down because, you want to check on your superstar quarterback, who, in my opinion, was playing the best ball of his career. As far as I'm concerned, he might not be putting up the gaudy numbers he was putting up, but he's playing the best overall all-around ball. Because why? He's not carrying the Dallas Cowboys. Okay? He's playing a big role, but he's not carrying them like he was in years past. So, Tony Romo is in the locker room. You see Jerry Jones on the sidelines. Because he came down from the owner's box to the sidelines. Okay, no issue. Now you can see Romo was in the back. You can see, and on the sidelines, and you can see him clearly arguing with the trainers, which means the trainers was telling him, folks. And come on, why is the player arguing unless the trainers telling him not to go back in the game? He should not be going back in the game. There is no animated discussion if the trainers felt that he should have gone back, he could go back in the game. So the trainers, the doctors, whoever was looking at him was telling him he should not go back in the game. He's sitting there, and I'm talking about Tony Romo, having an animated discussion with them. I call it an argument, but let's call it an animated discussion because that's what it was, an animated discussion. So he was disagreeing with the doctors. But here was my issue with Jerry Jones. He goes, now you can see Jason Garrett is in his little coach's box, and he's sitting there coaching. You can see Jerry Jones walk right up to him. And you can see, Jason Garrett taken aback by it because you don't ever see the owner right there in the coach's box, as they call it. You don't see the owner there, and he's talking to him. To me, first of all, the man is busy trying to coach, and you're talking to him. And he basically, and this is out of Jerry's mouth, so I'm not making this up. I'm not saying what someone said, he said. This came out of Jerry's mouth. Romo can play. Romo can go back, is coming back. What do you mean Romo is coming back? You'd never even allow Jason Garrett to make that decision. Because basically you took the decision out of Jason Garrett's hands. You basically took the decision out of the doctor's hands. Because why? You said that he's coming back. So I do not fault Jason Garrett whatsoever for putting Romo back in the game. Because when your boss tells you to play so-and-so, you gotta play. If you want to keep your job, and stay in the boss's good graces, play so-and-so. It's just that simple. But Jerry Jones took it out of the doctor's hands. Instead of listening to the doctors say it's best you not go back in the game. Don't listen to the player. His arm can be cut off, literally, and he'll still say he can throw with it. He'll still figure out a way to try to get in the game. You don't listen to the player. You got to listen to the doctors. This is why when I hear the NFL say, oh, well, now it's independent doctors. There are no independent doctors. Because where were the independent doctors when the doctors was telling Tony not to go back in that game? And Jerry overruled them. So much for independence. And that's what I felt was despicable. You should have never overruled your doctors. And you should not be in the coach's box telling the coach what to do or who to play at that moment. Let that man coach. Let him coach. Now, if you wanted to discuss him playing the following week, you can wait until after the game to do that. No issues with that. But at that point, first of all, I felt Romo shouldn't have not been back in the game. But even if he's going to come back in the game, let Jason Garrett make that call. Not even Jason Garrett. Follow the instructions of the trainers and doctors. If the trainers and doctors say he should not be back in the game, that should have been the end of the discussion. Take the helmet from Tony Romo. Tony, if the doctors, I'm not putting you out there until the doctor says it's okay. Because why? We're talking liability issues here, folks. Because what's going to happen if Tony Romo became a vegetable? Tony Romo became partially paralyzed, crippled, whatever you want to call it. What do you think would have happened? Who do you think his family would have sued? This is why the NFL needs to instruct these owners, you're not to overrule the doctors. If the doctors and trainers say the player should not be going back in the game, he should not be going back in the game. Plain and simple. That should end any discussion of the matter. If you want a truly independent or true diagnosis. Other than that, then why are the doctors and trainers there? You might as well not even have them. Because then nothing is really changed. Everything is just political speech. But nothing has changed. I want to thank you for watching another segment of the Jermaine Brown Sports Talk Show. Take care.